So today I'm going to give a short and quick review about the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So the book is about the title itself. It is derived from Outliers. And what makes this book unique from other nonfiction out there is the way Malcolm Gladwell executes and structure his book. So he's going to have stories after stories, and he's going to formulate some kind of a theory, a hypothesis about what makes each person outlier. So in a way, Malcolm Gladwell style of writing is almost similar to Robert Greene, because Robert Greene's mastery, it also has, in the same vein, it is it it shares stories in history in our current time, and then tells a theory or a hypothesis about that. But you're really going to see the difference from but you're going to see the difference between Malcolm Gladwell and Robert Greene. This is my third book from Malcolm Gladwell, so I think I have a feel on how this style and how Malcolm Gladwell will write his book, or how the tone of his book. Now, Outliers, it is a story about people who succeed, who has outlier story, who seem to have an outlier story, but does not seem to. What do I mean? So one of the examples in this book is about Bill Gates. So I know a lot of people will not like the example about Bill Gates, who is considered one of the wealthiest man in the planet, but because, well, he's just wealthy, and the speculation against him is that he is from a wealthy family, so he came from a good background, that becoming a wealthiest man in the planet, it is not a story of outlier, because Bill Gates is well connected. His family has money, so it's not outlier. But Malcolm Gladwell presented here, and the story Malcolm Gladwell presented here is how Bill Gates has unique opportunities to develop his skill. If I remember correctly, in the book, it is mentioned that Bill spends a lot of time with computer programming the entire day, from 12 in the afternoon to 12 in the midnight. So this is back when he was in college and before he drops out. So, and because of the time he spent on his craft, he was able to develop computer programming that paved way to the first computer codes of Microsoft. So that the outlier story here is, not everyone will have the opportunity to just simply drop out of school, to not attend your college classes. So most people, they have to um, school and then work. They have to attend school and then they have to attend work. So they don't have that outlier opportunity to develop the skills they wanted, to develop the mastery that they wanted, that Bill Gates has. Most of us don't have. Now, somehow, my story is um, almost the same, but because back in college I also don't I spend a lot of time in my craft instead of attending my college classes. So I skip college classes to develop my skills. Almost the same story as as he had, but um, but Bill, yeah, that one. And I forgot, but Bill was born in the right time. I forgot the exact date that is mentioned here, but Bill was born in the right time because during those time it is the boom, it is the explosion of the internet era. So during that time he was one of the few people who are doing computer programming. We can think about it. He was one of the few people who has access to computer and who has the time to develop his skill to do computer programming. So not many people can have access to computer back in the day, and not many people have the time to practice the skills. So that is what makes it outlier. Another one that is discussed and talk about this book is IQ and EQ. So uh, I should have written a notes about this because one of the examples Malcolm Gladwell gave is practical skill is more important than IQ. I really forgot the name of the person who has a high IQ. I forgot his name. Anyway, the person he showed someone who has an high IQ, and my phone is showing full. I don't have any more space. Anyway, the person Malcolm showed an example in a chapter where someone who has a high IQ is not doing well later in life when he was in his 30s, and someone who has an average IQ but has high practical skills. He talk about this as practical skills, and that person is doing well. He is successful. Someone who only has an average IQ are more likely to succeed in life if he has practical skill and he has a street smart. Someone with high IQ are more likely to fail later in life. Another one discussed in this book is, and what I love is deep learning. So deep learning on how we can accumulate and gain our skills. So so like right now what I am doing, I am learning a foreign language, but there's a passive learning and active and deep learning. So passive learning is about just listening to audiobooks, doing Duolingo. I think if you are learning a language, this is your first steps to how you learn a language. So what is the phrase for hello, good morning, and then you memorize this list, which I did. um, I've been learning a foreign language for 5 years now, and I am still not yet fluent. Why? Because I am not doing deep learning, even though I spend at least 20 hours per month, and it is still failing because it is not deep learning. So Duolingo will not make, I don't know, maybe there are some case to case basis, but Duolingo did not make me fluent in foreign language. I know this because if I watch the show and I will not understand the dialogue. So Duolingo did not make me fluent in the language. Making cards, so I made cards. I made in index cards the faces and I memorized them, and after 4 to 6 months I forgot everything. So why? Because it is not deep learning. Deep learning is focusing and investing your entire attention on um, on the language. So if you're just driving and learning the language, the you're not going to absorb the information. So when I am running and jogging outside my house, I listen audio, to the audio in repetition. So thinking that I should be fluent at this point, but it is a mistake. So listening to the listening to the language did not make me fluent at it. So deep learning, I have to do. My mistake is I don't have a book. I don't have a textbook for the foreign language. That's one. Number two, I am not using it, so I am not talking to anyone. So all I have is listening to the language and memorizing every phrases that I can get, phrases that are taught by instructor and not used by Russians, because it is different when a teacher teaches a language. They know how to teach the language, and they speak slowly. Real life language is different from the way it is taught. So there are slang and they make it short. They make the word shorter. So that is a mistake. And yeah, the point of that Malcolm Gladwell wants to show is that it has to be deep learning for you to be an outliner and for you to be fluent in the language. You cannot just expect to listen to some audiobook, to some audios, to do Duolingo while your attention is split. Just like mine, while I am jogging, I am listening to back and forth of to the language, like good morning, good evening. I am listening to that every time I run. Now my attention is split because I have to look at the road. I have to I have to remind myself if I have to go fast or if I have to go slow so I can rest. And I live in a city where I have to be attentive of everything around me if I don't want to collide to a vehicle. So it is not deep learning. So I am bringing the language with me while doing something else. If you want to master a language, it has to be your full attention on it. You have to practice speaking it. You have to practice the language, and it is something I never did. I never talk in Russian for the last 5 years, even though I am listening to it constantly, even though I have memorized phrases. It did not work because I have no one to talk to, so I just know the phrase. Now can I speak in longer sentences like I am doing now? I don't. Another one that makes it outlier is he describes about culture, like Asian community between the West. So the Asian culture about work hard and perseverance. He described here about farmers. So they are awake early in the morning, about 4 a.m. to do farming work. So this one discipline that is part of the culture translates and echoed in other areas, which is in academia. So this is why most Asian, I will not agree with that, but this study proves it. He showed China, why most Asian countries are doing well in mathematics tests compared to the West. So the it has something to do with the culture why Asians are good at math because they are highly. I'm saying they because not exactly me. They are highly. I don't work in a farm, so the example given here is that Asians in Chinese and Korean communities, they are already awake 4 a.m. to do farming work, so that one discipline translate in in other areas. So that culture, that Asian culture, that kind of upbringing between it translates to discipline because China, they are doing a lot of farming work and to be. Now compared it with another country which are more prone to violence. So do they do a lot of farming? Um, yeah. Um, what else? He talks about the 10,000 hour rule. So in order for you to be a master in one skill, you have to do 10,000 hours. I think most people are already know and aware of that. He gives descriptions, stories about violinists, um, how some children who, yeah, um, how some children learning are um, are learning early, are being taught in instruments in violin. So like I say, he did the math, so I forgot the details. But the point is, mastery is shoved into children, and they develop that. For example, these children are learning violin. So and by the time that they are 20 years old, they have accumulated about 6 to 7,000 hours of work. So for one to be a master at something, you need 10,000 hours. So as for me, it also echoes with me. I mentioned that I like to run, I like to do marathon. Back in college and high school, I was in elementary I tried for the varsity track and field, and then high school I tried volleyball. In college I I tried out for track and field. So my dream back then was to be in the Olympics. So I work about 2 hours almost every day. I run. So back in the day, I run. I do a lot of track and field. But um, and I've been with so the first tryout that I had in college. So and that was the dream. So to be in the Olympics. But I've been um, I've been with a group who are only 12 years old. So I am about 17 years old. I am supposed to be fast. I am supposed to be faster than them. I am supposed to run long distance. But at the end of that, the result is. But after some time of running, the point is I am slower and my stamina is weaker. So these 12 years old, they can run for hours while I am panting and I am catching my breath. And this was only 30 to 40 minutes of running. While these 12 years old, they can do so many laps. I remember by the time we got to the group, to the bus, and the coach scolded these two 12 years old on why they are late. And then two these two kids, they turned to me and somehow they blame me because I had to run with them. So it is embarrassing, it is um, humiliating. At first I thought, because they mentioned something about um, first year, so I thought they were first year college, but they are first year high school. So yeah, it is embarrassing that um, that is the result. So yeah, at the end of that, the result is I did not attend any more practice. That was my first and last day, because now I know where I belong, and Olympics, that's not the dream. So running, exercising, that is just a hobby. Doesn't mean I can get a medal, an Olympic medal for it. The point that Malcolm Gladwell is making here is the 10,000 hour rule. The reason why those kids, why they accepted younger people to be an athlete is because they started early. They had more practice time than I will ever have. So it is, when it comes to sports, age does matter. So imagine it. I've never trained properly in track and field. So I, as a 16, 17 years old, will enter the varsity team without proper structure of training, without who has never been coach in the sports and who just did it out of hobby. And then I will, this 12 years old has started at 6, 7, 8 with a coach and with a proper structure So the unique opportunities for these athletes, they started young, they had a coach and they had a proper structure. They've been educated earlier on, while I never do. Um, Now thinking about it today, so I never went back to the team. I never approached the coach whether I am accepted or not, because I think it is obvious that I am not accepted, and I did not make the team, I did not make the cut, so I don't need to hear it from him that I failed. So I did not attend and I quit, but I did not quit running. I still do it as a hobby, 2 to 3 weeks a week. So the point of that section is the 10,000 hour rule. You have to start early, and if you want to be a master of something, you have to do it now. So that's all for this short and quick review of Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It is one of those inspirational books, but it is worth looking at if you want stories and detailed theories, hypotheses. It is not exactly emotionally moving as other inspirational books. One moving inspirational book is David Goggins. So I forgot the title, but that is one. This is not exactly inspirational, so this is more about academic book for me. So that's it. Until the next time.